My time in Madeira is drawing to an end, and there's still so much of this beautiful island to discover. The spectacular coastlines, the wild, rugged north, and the remote mountain villages. There are also more evacuation stories and memories which I wish to learn about and share, about lives which were irrevocably changed here on the island. You'd be forgiven for thinking that we're in the middle of a film set. It looks like something out of the Smurfs, doesn't it? But it's actually not. These are the original Madeiran village cottages. There's only a few left. They have thatched roofs, which you'll see that they reach all the way down to the bottom, and this allows for greater insulation for the colder weather up here in the countryside. And unfortunately, there's only a few of them left. We're here in Santana, where the City Council and the Tourist Board have ensured that these are being preserved for the sake of history. But we've actually found one round the back, this one right here. And Maria, Doña Maria, has kindly allowed us to walk in, and I'm just going to go over and meet her right now. She actually lives here. Bom dia, Maria. ¿Usted todavía vive en esta casita? ¿Sí? Maria lives here. She's now a widow and she lives here by herself. But she first came to Santana when she was 17 years old in order to get married. She's now 82, so that's a lifetime living in this tiny cottage. But what's even more surprising and beyond imagination for us is that she's had 15 children here. 11 boys, that's enough for a football team, and 4 girls. So 17 of them used to live in this beautiful little cottage, and she's kindly allowed us to see inside. This is where all the original features have been maintained. ¡Qué bonito! Es precioso, Maria. You can feel the warmth, you know, you can feel the heat. Which would be needed in a village like this. We're very high up in the mountains.
Essa palha está posta já quando fui feita a casa. Há 53 anos.
So this is the original thatch, which is the one we saw outside right at the bottom where you can see the layers. So this one is 53 years old, but look at the condition. And it doesn't, you'd think that perhaps they'd catch, you know, some type of insects or dampness or something, but they're not. It looks like it's been laid yesterday. Maria is obviously very religious, as you would expect from many of the Madeirans. There's statues of the Virgin Mary everywhere, and a beautiful rosary on the wall too. Maria, usted no descansa, mucho trabajo. El huerto, los niños, el bordeo, los tapetes.
À noite, em vez de ser para dormir, era para estarem.
Yeah, no sleep. Y toda la cocina también, obviamente, porque para darle de comer a 17 personas habrá sido muy duro.
Foi de ouro, foi de ouro.
The cultivation of sugarcane in Madeira dates back to the 15th century, when the island became a main supplier of sugar, also known as white gold. Nowadays, the sugarcane is mainly used for the production of honey,
and rum.
We bring the sugarcane that come from all Madeira Island.
You buy from different farmers
For
who
different
cultivate
farmers.
and have
we
plantations
already,
around.
And we already know the farmers because we already work with them a few years. Because we catch the sugarcane, then the farmers bring to our fabric, and they start the procedure of pressing on our machines. And after that, we have the tank that will take to the tanks where we're gonna do the fermentation. And there, you can see the difference, because if I have a sugarcane rich in sugar, I will not need 12 hours to do the fermentation. After the fermentation, we don't call the juice of the sugarcane, we call garapa. And it's the garapa that goes to the distillery to transform everything that we have in sugar in rum, because we produce agricole rum in our fabric. We have the white rum and the old rum that it's brown.
The dark rum?
Yes, exactly.
Which is your favorite rum?
I love all, but my favorite it's the dark rum.
Do you think I'll be able to taste some?
Yes, of course. Shall we go?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you.
It's quite light, right?
It is quite light. It is quite light. I was expecting... Yes, it's...
Something stronger?
It's very, very... I mean, it's
Because even if
warmth that's going down my throat and my chest is...
Even if it's 60, it's with 40%. But 6 years old, you can already... it's rich already in flavor.
Very rich in flavor.
Yeah, but it's quite smooth in your mouth. You don't feel it strong when you... Even if it's the smell on the 30 years old, you can see all the difference between that kind of rums.
But I have to admit, it's been deceptive because the smell is quite strong. So, you know, I was thinking, gosh, this could be really, really strong for me. I'm not...
That's the magic of the rums.
Yeah, but it hasn't been. I can see how you can just
depends-
drink this with some ice or even
Exactly.
as it is,
You
know?
don't need to. You
Yeah.
can just drink it pure as that.
The delicious but very potent rum has made me hungry. So I headed off to the village of St. George, where I was told I could enjoy a traditional lunch. Yet another feast awaits.
That is delicious. A really subtle taste of prawns, actually, and a very creamy base. You can't taste the egg at all. And there's something special in it, but obviously I don't know what it is because they won't tell me. But it does have a very unique taste. Delicious, exactly what you'd want in the cold winter months. And now, because I just can't help myself, I'm going to just rip off the side, a little bit of the bread, and excuse my fingers, but it's going to dip it in.
The oven-baked octopus was mouth-watering. It was tender, flavoursome, and cooked to perfection.
That is just so tasty, you can tell. It happens always with a slow cook, doesn't it? It just picks up those extra flavours, and it's more full-bodied, like a wine, I suppose. And there's a lot of wine in this.
Oh, there's always room for dessert, isn't there?
Thank you, Doctor, for inviting us into your beautiful home and garden right here, perched on the hilltops over Funchal. Dr. Zeno is the son of Yvonne Mossi. Yvonne was evacuated to Madeira during the evacuation and never left. So, Doctor, could you please tell us a little bit about your mother?
Well, my mother was the youngest in the family, and she had a wonderful life in southern Spain and obviously in Gibraltar, because the two in those days were hand in hand. And then war broke out, and she started working. She worked in the hospital there as a cleaner, I think. And the elder sister was her boss. And then one day they had marching orders. I think they were given 4 hours of notice, and they could only take hand luggage. And they didn't know where they were going, but they boarded a ship, and then they ended up here in Madeira. So, like I think, about 3,000 other Gibraltarians who ended up here. So then she was very lucky in as much that she was traveling with her aunt, Vic McIntosh. And so they all went to her group of 12, all went to stay at Reed's for about 12 days, I think. And then Reed said, you know, we can't stay open for you, you've got to find somewhere to live. We're looking for somewhere, and the person in charge of where they ended up, which is just across the road there, Quinta Nogueira, was my father. And so they met, and here I am.
And she fell in love, and you're the result of an evacuation baby.
I'm an evacuation baby. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah. And then the four of us. And I think she had a very good life. She sort of spoke Portuguese, but if she started getting enthusiastic, she'd fall back to Spanish. And she was here with her first cousin, Maruja Cossart, who also married here. And they used to see a lot of each other and always, again, back to Spanish. But she was very, very Gibraltarian. She got very upset when anything on the border front, and she would be very on the ball on that. And she died only 3 years ago, still very much a Gibraltarian. How many people left Gibraltar?
The entire female and child population.
How many is that?
In the thousands, yeah.
Thousands, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had 3,000 here.
Sorry,
I think this is what you might be.
is this the list you were mentioning?
Yeah.
The list of all the
Thanks very much,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, there you are.
So this list. Now you're not quite sure why this has ended up in your hands.
I know how I got it, yes. This Telia Welsh, who's one of the families here in Madeira, she found it in amongst her things and said, it's probably more use to you than it is to me. So I gratefully received. And it's I don't know how they got them, but it's the list of all the people that came here and their categories and what
Gosh,
happened
this
to
is
them.
incredible. This is a list of all the evacuees from Gibraltar. As I may have mentioned, they came over in three categories: Class A, Class B, and Class C. Class A was completely self-funded, so they were able to come here and find a home to rent or stay in a hotel. Class B was partly subsidised by government, and Class C was completely subsidised by government. Okay, let me just have a quick look through this, because I'd like to find the Canesas on this list. And here they are. My great-grandfather, Mr. Luis Canessa, who came here with his wife, my great-grandmother, Granny Victoria. My granny, Lauri Canessa, Laura, with her younger sister, Marilu Canessa. My granny's elder sister, Vitoti, who was Mrs. Davidson at the time, with her young daughter, Eileen. And then her younger, cherished brother, Luis Canessa. These are all the Category A evacuees, so there was quite a number of them, actually. Perhaps they knew...
There's my mother.
Oh, yes, here's your mother, Miss Ivone Mossi, with her cousin Maruja.
Yep.
And now Mrs. Alexino. And now Mrs. Peter Cossart, yeah?
Yeah.
This is fascinating.